Imagine someone hurting you, lying to you, manipulating you, breaking your trust again and again. Now, imagine defending them, protecting them, excusing them, even loving them. From the outside, this makes no sense. Friends and family might ask the same question over and over, why didn't they just leave? But psychology reveals something surprising. For many victims, leaving isn't just emotionally difficult. Their brain has been chemically conditioned not to. This psychological trap is called trauma bonding. And today, we're decoding the hidden brain logic that keeps people locked in destructive relationships. The term trauma bonding was introduced by psychologist Dr. Patrick Carnes back in 1997. He described it as a powerful emotional attachment that develops between a victim and an abusive person through repeated cycles of harm and reward. You might think constant mistreatment would push someone away, right? But here's the paradox. Instead of breaking the relationship, abuse can actually strengthen the emotional attachment. How is that possible? It happens through a dangerous, repeating pattern. First, there's abuse. This is followed by emotional pain and distress. Then comes reconciliation apologies, promises, and affection. And finally, a brief period of temporary kindness and calm. Then the cycle starts all over again. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement, and it's one of the most powerful conditioning mechanisms known in behavioral science. Groundbreaking research from B.F. Skinner's behavioral psychology experiments showed that unpredictable rewards create the strongest behavioral attachments, even stronger than consistent, predictable rewards. Think about a slot machine. You keep pulling the lever because you never know when the next payout will come. In a trauma bond, the brain becomes addicted to the hope of kindness returning, just like a gambler waiting for a jackpot. But trauma bonding isn't just an emotional game, it's neurological. Several powerful chemicals in your brain play a crucial role. First, let's talk about dopamine. Dopamine is the brain's reward chemical. It's what makes you feel pleasure and motivation. When the abuser briefly shows affection or kindness after a period of abuse, the victim's brain experiences a powerful dopamine release. It feels like an intense high. But because that kindness is so unpredictable, the brain becomes hyper-focused on earning it again, creating a craving for those moments of relief. Next, there's cortisol. During periods of abuse, stress hormones like cortisol flood the body. This creates a state of fear, anxiety, and hypervigilance. We're constantly on edge. But when the abuser suddenly becomes loving again, the stress response shuts off. The brain experiences a profound sense of relief. That emotional swing from intense pain to sudden relief strengthens the attachment. Research from Stanford neurobiology studies on stress bonding shows that this combination of intense stress followed by intermittent relief can dramatically deepen emotional dependency. One of the most confusing parts of trauma bonding for outsiders is watching a victim defend the very person who is hurting them. Psychology explains this through a concept called cognitive dissonance. Introduced by psychologist Leon Festinger in 1957, cognitive dissonance happens when a person holds two conflicting beliefs at the same time. For example, this person loves me, but also, this person is hurting me. The human brain struggles to hold both of those opposing ideas simultaneously. It creates intense mental discomfort. So, to resolve the conflict, the brain reinterprets reality. The victim might start telling themselves things like, they didn't really mean it, or they're just stressed out right now, or they had a hard childhood. It's not their fault. And perhaps the most dangerous belief of all, it's my fault. By blaming themselves, victims can reduce that mental conflict and make the abuser's actions seem more acceptable. But this self-blame also deepens the trauma bond, making it even harder to see the reality of the situation. Trauma bonding thrives inside a predictable pattern known as the cycle of abuse. This cycle was first identified by psychologist Lenore Walker in 1979 when studying domestic violence. It generally has four distinct phases. Phase 1 is tension building. This is where arguments increase, communication breaks down, and the emotional pressure grows. The victim might feel like they are walking on eggshells trying to prevent an explosion. Phase 2 is the abuse incident. This is the explosion of a specific incident of verbal, emotional, or even physical abuse. This phase is characterized by intense fear and pain. Phase 3 is reconciliation. This is the abuser's damage control. They might apologize profusely, shower the victim with affection, make grand promises to change, or give gifts. This is often called the honeymoon phase, and phase 4 is calm. For a short time, the relationship feels normal, peaceful, and loving again. This temporary calm creates hope. Victims begin to believe the relationship can return to the good version they remember from the beginning. But over time, that good version becomes increasingly rare, and the cycle of abuse speeds up. Yet the brain, conditioned for that intermittent reward, keeps chasing it. This cycle creates a psychological dependency that looks a lot like addiction. To make matters worse, abusers often reinforce these trauma bonds through specific psychological manipulation tactics. One of the most common and insidious is gaslighting. Gaslighting causes victims to question their own memory, their perception of events, and even their sanity. As psychologist Dr. Robin Stern describes it, gaslighting is a systematic erosion of a person's reality. Another tactic is love bombing. This involves overwhelming the victim with affection, praise, and attention, especially at the beginning of the relationship or after a fight. It's designed to create a powerful emotional connection that the victim will later crave during the abuse phases. Then there's isolation. Abusers often work to distance their victims from friends, family, and any other support systems. They might create drama with loved ones or demand all the victim's time. Research published in the Journal of Interpersonal Violence shows that isolation dramatically increases a victim's dependency. Without an outside perspective, the abusive dynamic becomes the victim's entire emotional reality. So, how does someone break free? Breaking a trauma bond is not simply about walking away. It requires consciously rewiring that deep-seated emotional conditioning. Psychologists and trauma specialists recommend several key steps. First and foremost is awareness. Simply understanding the concept of a trauma bond and the psychological dynamics at play can reduce its power. When you can name what's happening, you can start to see it for what it is, a manipulative pattern, not genuine love. Second is creating distance. This often means implementing no contact or low contact boundaries. Removing contact interrupts the cycle of intermittent reinforcement. It starves the brain of those highs and lows and gives it a chance to recalibrate. Third, and perhaps most importantly, is rebuilding a sense of self. Many victims lose their identity inside an abusive relationship. Their thoughts, hobbies, and even feelings become centered around the abuser. Therapy often focuses on restoring autonomy, self-worth, and emotional stability. Research from trauma therapy studies at Harvard Medical School shows that recovery improves dramatically when victims regain their social support networks and personal agency. Trauma bonding is one of the most misunderstood psychological dynamics in abusive relationships. From the outside, the decision to stay might look irrational or weak. But inside the victim's brain, powerful biological and psychological forces are at work, creating a prison that is incredibly difficult to escape. Understanding this doesn't excuse abuse, it never does, but it does replace judgment with insight. It helps us see the victim not as someone making a bad choice, but as someone caught in a sophisticated psychological trap. And sometimes, for both victims and the people who love them, that understanding is the very first step toward breaking the cycle for good. If you found this deep dive into psychology helpful, subscribe for more videos that provide actionable insights for your life. Thanks for watching.